So we continue to inhale through our left nostril, releasing our pinky, pausing, and then exhaling deeply through our right. I invite us, when our mind feels really busy and wandering, to visualize where that breath is going in our body. Maybe we're sending that breath to a certain part of our body, or maybe we're just sending it right down to our abdomen. And I invite us to lay on our mats if we're sitting, and if we're already laying, then I invite us to just take a few more big, deep breaths. I invite us to ground our feet. And when it feels right for us, we're going to round our hips up. Exhale, rounding our hips down. Rounding our hips up on the inhales. Exhale, rounding our hips down. And I invite us to just gently massage the bottom part of our tailbone. Maybe even making the ocean sound with our nose as we exhale. When it feels right for us, let's extend our right leg down. We're going to pick our left leg up, bringing our knee towards our chest. And we can either just pull in that left knee, or if it feels right, to let it go out to the side and pull our foot towards our chest. We can do that. Play with what feels right. Maybe it feels better to just bring that knee right towards our chest. Breathing. Maybe it feels better to pick our heads up and leave our heads down. I invite us to do what feels right for us. Let's take 3 to 5 big, deep breaths here, just breathing and letting the stress and tension go from our bodies. When it feels right for ourselves, let's switch legs, straightening the left leg, bringing the right knee towards our chest, maybe pivoting out to the side, or maybe just bringing it straight towards our chest. Again, I invite us to do what feels right for us, continuing to breathe big, deep breaths. We'll do 3 to 5 big breaths here. Bringing our attention to our hip flexors, just inviting healing into that part of our body. Let's extend our right leg out, bringing our left leg up. We're going to do this, just a little bit of ab work here, either keeping our right leg off of our mat, or if it feels better to lower it. And let's switch at our own pace. Inhaling as we switch, bringing that knee up. Exhaling deep. Inhaling on the switch. Exhaling on the stretch out. Inhaling deep. Exhaling and letting go. Let's do one more on each side. Good, we'll reach both feet out when it feels right for us. Lowering our heads if our heads were lifted. And let's arch our chest up by bringing our shoulder blades back and down behind us. Lifting our hearts up to the universe. Lifting our chest. Allowing ourselves to start to undent as we lift our hearts up. And I invite us to bring our mantra back into our bodies. And when it feels right for us, let's release our chest down, bringing our spine back to our bodies. Let's bring our feet up towards our ceilings. We're going to bend our knees, placing them, reaching them to the sides of our bodies. Let's either grab our big toe with our hands, or else bringing our hands up to the side of our feet in dead bug. As we exhale, we try to bring our knees deeper towards our mat. As we inhale, let's breathe in some fresh energy. Exhaling and just breathing, softening. Continuing to breathe. And let's release our feet. Let's roll to our right side, bringing our knees together, placing our knees at the side of our mat. Let's bring our hands, so we're arched up now, and then let's bring our heads down to our hands, placing our frontal lobe right on our hands. And I invite us to come up onto our elbows. We're going to ground our forearms. Let's bring our hips so our knees are grounded. Let's curl our toes under, and let's reach our hips up into dolphin. If dolphin doesn't feel comfortable for us by bringing our knees off of our mats, we can continue to just place our knees on our mats. And I invite us to just breathe here, noticing where our mind goes, and bring it back to our peace by finding our breath, or else saying our mantra to ourselves. Drop our knees down to our mat. We're going to bring our knees to the left side of our mat, placing them together. Let's place our hands on top of each other. And let's bring our frontal lobe right down to our hands. And let's push ourselves up. Let's place our knees on our mats by grounding them. Let's lift our heads up towards our ceilings. Let's bring our shoulder blades back and down, bringing our hands to our sides. Let's pull our hearts up to the universe, knowing that we have all the love that we need already in our hearts today. And I invite us to just feel and notice the peace that we have as we breathe deep. And I invite us to either slide our hands down the back of our legs, holding here by reaching our heads back. Maybe our heads can only reach back a little bit. That's okay. Maybe we can grab our ankles, lifting our hearts up. Maybe noticing our hip flexors when we're stretching here. Maybe we notice our hearts being pulled up. Invite us to release ourselves by pulling our heads back up. Let's place our hands down on our mats. And let's turn our fingers towards our knees. Let's just lean back by bringing our hips towards our ankles. As we inhale, let's push ourselves forward. As we exhale, let's rock back. And let's just breathe and notice our breath here. Inhaling deep through our nose. And exhaling maybe by making a snoring sound or an ocean sound. Maybe playing with what feels right for ourselves today. Maybe it feels good to allow our heads to drop down if our necks feel tight. Let's release our fingers back forward, turning them towards the front or back of our mat, whichever way we're situated. Let's ground our left hand, reaching our right foot straight from us to the opposite side of our mat. We can either ground our knee, or else we can bring our left foot right underneath our right. Let's reach our right hand up towards our ceilings. Let's open our hearts. Let's lift our hearts up to the universe. Maybe even allowing our hearts to sing as we lift them. Maybe telling ourselves that we are able to give and receive love easily today. feels right, let's reach our right hand over our head, pulling our fingers, feeling the energy pulling from our fingers on our right to the right toes, allowing that energy to flow on our right side. And when it feels right for us, let's do a spinal twist by bringing our right hand through our left. If we can lift up our right foot, strengthening our hip flexors, strengthening that psoas. If it doesn't feel right, don't worry about it. If it feels right, awesome. If it doesn't, awesome. Just take care of our own bodies today. And invite us to return our feet. Let's come into a plank by grounding our hands, dropping our knees if we need to. And we're going to do this exercise with flow. Let's exhale, lowering to crocodile. At our own pace, inhaling up to upward dog, reaching our hearts up. Exhaling deep. At our own breath, let's inhale, pulling our hips to downward dog. And exhaling deep. Let's inhale back to plank. Lower to crocodile at our own pace. Inhale to upward dog at our own pace, reaching our hearts. And exhaling with ease. Lifting our hips to upward dog at our own pace. And exhaling with ease. Let's do this one more time, going at our own pace. When it feels right for us, let's ground our right hand. Grounding our right knee if we need to, extending our left foot, reaching our left hand up, opening our hearts, breathing deep. Let's reach our left hand over our heads, allowing the energy on our left side to flow freely from our fingers all the way to our toes as we breathe deep. Reaching our left hand into a spinal twist when it feels right for us, allowing our heads to follow. Look at our right hand if that feels right. If that doesn't feel right, we allow our heads to gaze where they want to gaze. And let's return our left hand to our mats. Pull our hips to downward dog. Let's just feel and notice our feet for a second. Maybe even repositioning our feet. Letting our heads just hang down where they want to hang. And let's take 3 big pranayama breaths here. Inhaling through our nose. Pausing. Exhaling for 4 seconds. Inhaling for 4 seconds. Pausing and exhaling. When it feels right for us, let's step our right foot forward to our right hand, stepping our left foot forward to our left hand, and just releasing our heads in forward fold, honoring ourselves for who we are, all of our dents, all of our good, all of our dents, all of us. Knowing that as our dents come and go, we can always come back to our mats. We can always find our breath. When it feels right, let's slowly push ourselves up, reaching our heads up towards our ceilings, feeling the air around our bodies with our hands. Continuing to breathe deep. And let's place our pointer fingers together, clasping our hands, our fingers and our thumbs. So it's just our pointer reaching up. And we're going to release our psoas from side to side. So we're just going to sway from side to side. As we put our weight on one foot, I invite us to send relaxation to the hip that's there's not weight on. Our intention is to relax that side, breathe, inhaling and relaxing. If it feels better to let your arms now come by your sides, we can do that. If it feels better to reach our hands up, we can reach our hands up. Two more. Good. And when it feels right for ourselves, let's bring our thumbs right down to our heart center. Let's take 3 big breaths here at our heart center, allowing our mantra back into our bodies, allowing our spirits to feel lifted. Allowing our foreheads to relax, allowing our knees to relax. And let's start our sun salutation. So we'll move up to the top of our mats, and let's spread our toes out before we start our sun salutation. And let's just feel and notice our feet. We're going to do our sun salutation today here with a bit of flow on each side that we do it. And I invite us as we inhale with ease, and as we exhale throughout our sun salutations, pick a breath technique that feels right for you today. So the one breath technique that I like to do is, as I'm flowing from posture to posture in my sun salutation, I'll inhale, and then as I move to the next posture, I'll exhale in 3 steps. Sift, sift. So 3 times. Or else, I like to either inhale and then exhale, making the snoring sound or the ocean sound. Play with it. Maybe intermix all 3. Do whatever feels right for ourselves today. So as our hands are at our heart center, let's inhale deep. Exhaling either with the ocean or with the snoring sound. Let's inhale, reaching our hands up. Exhale, playing with all 3. Maybe the 3 sifting feels right. Let's inhale a big breath before we fall back in waterfall. Exhaling deep into waterfall. At our own pace, we'll inhale back up. Moving into forward fold. Let's move into lunge by reaching our back foot out. Continuing to exhale with our snoring or our ocean sound, or maybe the 3-breath step. Inhaling with our own pace by reaching our right hand up, opening our heart center, and exhaling with our own technique. I invite us to move into plank. Dropping our knees if we need to. Let's move into crocodile. Reaching our heads and our hearts and our chins up into upward dog. Reaching our hips to downward dog. Pulling our right foot when it feels right for ourselves into lunge. Pulling our left hand out and around at our own pace. Lifting our hearts. Opening ourselves. And exhaling with whatever technique feels right. Let's move our bodies into forward fold. Exhaling deeply and allowing our heads to just fall and relax and release. When it feels right, we start to stand tall. We're strong. We have all the strength we need today. Let's reach our hands up. And when it feels right, we arch back into waterfall. Let's reach our hands back up, placing them together. And when it feels right for ourselves, we bring our thumbs to our heart centers. Let's take 1 or 2 more big breaths here. When it feels right, we'll reach our hands up and arch back into waterfall at our own pace. Let's move into forward fold at our own pace. Pulling our left foot back towards the back of our mats. Reaching our left hand out and around and continuing to either make the snoring sound or the ocean sound or the 3-step breath as we exhale. Let's move into plank. Lowering to crocodile when it feels right. Reaching our heads up and our hearts and our chins and our chest when it feels right for us. Pulling our hips to downward dog. Pulling our left foot to lunge. Continuing with our breath techniques as we continue to pull ourselves inward. Our pranayama breathing pulls ourselves inward. Let's bring our hands to our mats, stepping forward when it feels right into forward fold. I invite us to stand tall when it feels right for ourselves. And open our hearts again in waterfall. Let's reach our hands back up when it feels right. Bringing our thumbs to our heart centers. Invite us to honestly feel ourselves. We feel more connected with ourselves than before we came to our mats. Let's let our arms come down by our sides. Let's step back with our right foot into a warrior lunge. Maybe standing tall in a warrior lunge with just a slight bend. Maybe into a low warrior lunge. And I invite us to reach our hands out to the side today, allowing our chest to open. Pulling our fingers out to the side and breathing deep. Inhaling through our nose. Pausing for a second and exhaling. Let's reach our hands up. We can either allow our hands to be spread apart. We can place them together. Do what feels right for ourselves today. Maybe it feels right to arch back. Maybe that doesn't feel right. Do what feels right. And continue. I invite us to continue to breathe. Reach our hands back up. Let's bring them back out to the side. Let's pivot our right foot, bringing our left hand to our left leg, straightening our left leg, sliding our left hand down our left leg and stopping where it feels comfortable. Maybe we can go all the way down to our foot. Maybe we have to stop at our shin. Invite us to do what feels right and pull our right fingers up towards the sky. I invite us to bring our right hand down towards our mat. Let's turn and pivot our back foot so our toes are facing in the same direction. We're going to ground our right hand, bringing our left hand up towards the sky, reaching those fingers. If we have to bend our legs to make it down to our mats, no worries. If we maybe need to put something to support our hand if we can't reach our mat. That's fine too. And let's bring both hands to our mat. Let's step forward on our foot and come into balancing half moon. Maybe bringing our toes of our right foot, grounding on our mat. Maybe we can lift them up. Maybe we can lift our right hand. Bring our right hand back down to our mat. Let's bring our right foot back down to our mat. And let's step our feet out to the sides of our mat. So our feet are off of our mat in a wide triangle. And I invite us to either allow our hands to just touch our mats, or maybe it feels better to place our hands together and push through our triangle. This pose is really good if we have lots of headaches. It releases just the tension in our necks and in our legs. I invite us to continue to breathe for 4 to 6 seconds on our inhale, pausing and exhaling. Let's support our legs by placing our hands on our mat. We're going to walk our feet back to shoulder and hip width apart. And then let's step back with our left foot, pivoting our left toes so they're pointed to the edge of our mat. Our right toes are pointed to the front of our mat. And I invite us to come up into a warrior lunge that feels right for us ourselves today. Reaching our hands up to the side, bringing our chest so it's supported, feeling that support in our own chest today, that love that we already have in our hearts. No matter how dented we may have felt yesterday or this morning or whatever it is, knowing we can always come back, that love and peace we already have in our hearts. And when it feels right, let's reach our hands up towards the sky, either keeping our hands apart or bringing them together. Maybe we can arch back. We do what feels right for ourselves today. Continuing to breathe deep. When it feels right, let's straighten our right leg. Let's slide our right hand down our right leg, reaching our left hand up towards the sky, feeling that pull, releasing maybe of that shoulder, maybe even pulling our shoulder up towards the sky as it releases that tension. And I invite us to just let our head go where our head wants to go. Let's bring our left hand to our mat. We're going to pivot our left toes so they're facing the same direction as our right. Let's bring our left hand and grounding it. Maybe we can't ground it on our mat, maybe it's on our leg. But we're going to do a spinal twist and reach our right hand up towards the sky. hands to our mat, bringing our weight up onto our right foot, letting our left foot go where it feels right and supported. Maybe it's an extension out. Maybe it's where we ground our toes. And let's let our head and our left hand go where they want to go. When it feels right for ourselves, let's bring our left hand and our left foot back to our mat. Step our feet off again. Maybe it feels better to pivot our toes so they're pointed in towards each other. Maybe it feels better to keep them straight. And let's release our heads down. Let's bring our right hand, grounding it somewhere on our mat where it feels comfortable for us to do a spinal twist as we lift our left hand up towards the ceiling. Once we're here, I invite us again to just do a breathing technique that feels right for us today. Maybe it's the 4-count breath where we breathe for 4 counts and pause and release. Maybe as we release, we make a sound. And when it feels right for our own bodies, let's switch hands. Bringing our left hand down and our right hand up. And when it feels right, let's release our legs by bending our knees, lowering our hips to our mats. We're going to rest our tailbone onto our mats. And I invite us to reach our feet either up by bending our knees, lifting our feet. We can reach our feet out if that feels right. We can hold here. If we want a little bit more of a challenge, we can crisscross our feet. And I invite us to continue breathing with whatever technique feels best for us today. By keeping that psoas muscle strengthened, it allows for less injury. Let's bring our feet back to our mats. Let's just do a spinal twist with our feet grounded, our knees up. Let's bring our left hand back behind us. We're going to cross our right hand over our right knee, reaching our heads towards our ceilings, just breathing as we exhale. And when it feels right, let's stretch to the right side. Bring our right hand over our left arm onto our right knee. Let's come the center. Let's bring our feet together, allowing our hips to open up as we drop our knees to the sides. And let's feel our bodies here. Let's lower our upper bodies down to our mats. Letting our arms come down by our sides. Continuing to breathe deep. And let's reach our feet towards the sky, pulling our heels and legs up the wall. If our hips feel really tight or our back feels really tight, I invite us to just go place our legs literally up one of our walls and do this. If we can, let's reach our feet even higher by placing our hands in the small of our back. If we can, let's move into plow by bringing our feet over our head, stopping where it feels like we're stretching enough. Our arms come back behind our backs. If we can reach our toes all the way to the floor behind us, then we do that. If we keep them up off of the floor, that's great too. We do whatever feels right for us today. And let's return our legs down to our mats, coming into Shavasana, if that feels right. Shavasana is where our legs are extended, our arms are by our sides. If we need to do a supported Shavasana by lifting our knees up, bending them, that's fine. If we drop our knees up to the side, if we put a block under our backs or a pillow under our neck, let's just support ourselves, however need be, as we come into our final meditation period. I invite us to relax our forehead and our jaw. We are tied to what we hate or fear. And I'll say that again. We are tied to what we hate or fear. Our attention can bring alive what we don't want as readily as it can bring alive what we do want. I went to school in Boston during the years of desegregation. Minorities who had previously attended schools in their own neighborhoods were abused or were bused to distant schools in an effort to achieve racial parity, and a good portion of white Boston was up in arms. Political careers were made by stirring up racial hatred, and hundreds of innocent children suddenly found themselves at the center of an enormous battle. I was 12 and 13 during the height of that hatred and violence. A bitterness formed in me during those years as I experienced abuse from adults who should have known better. I left Boston as soon as I could and spent 10 years traveling and living in different parts of the world. But the bitterness in my heart was always with me, and I convinced it would never change. Serving in the military in Germany years later, I had a spiritual awakening. One day, I lived in a world without God. The next day, God was in the center of my universe. My spiritual growth and helping others with their spiritual growth became the priority in my life. Caught up in the wonder of this, I finished my military service, returned to Boston, and moved in with my sister. As it turned out, she was living within a mile of my very school where I had been abused as a child. I found myself walking the same streets, sharing the same bus stop, sitting on the same bus stop as I had years ago, surrounded once again by the very people who had hated me. The spiritual program I had attended had meetings all over the neighborhood. In fact, I became a regular at meetings where 20 to 100 of my old enemies gathered together to support one another and to worship spiritually. It was wonderful. I had shifted my focus from a bitter heart to a loving heart. Instead of seeing the world as a place where deeply troubled people lived restlessly, I saw it as a place for my own spiritual growth, allowing myself to share the love in my heart with all those around myself. I now saw it just as another place where God exists in everyone. I found myself falling in love with the city again. In the 10 years that I had been back in Boston, I had never encountered the racism that I did before. Instead, I allowed love into my life. And I have found that the world we live in is a reflection of our hearts. Invite us to roll to our right or left side as we start to waken our bodies up And invite us to just feel and notice that side of our body. And when it feels right for ourselves, invite us to push ourselves up to a position where we're sitting. If we're able to crisscross our legs, invite us to do so. If that doesn't feel right, then we support our bodies with how they feel right. And invite ourselves to undent a little bit today, knowing that we have love in our hearts, allowing ourselves not to judge ourselves when we dent in, right? Allowing ourselves to undent when we realize and come back to our peace. And I invite us to bring our hands out, placing our palms up if that feels right. I'm going to chant the mantra OM 3 times. Invite us to join. We can sing out or whisper or do what feels right for us. Invite us to say our mantra a few times to ourselves. Breathing as we do this. Let's place our hands together as we honor ourselves, each other, and our practice. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. You're so welcome.